I want you to imagine Africa finally doing what the world has spent decades pretending it couldn't do: build its own football empire. Not a regional league, not a developmental league, a full blown, global, billion-dollar juggernaut. The kind of league that keeps African stars in Africa, keeps profits on the continent, and forces the world to watch African football on African terms. In 2022, that dream had a name: the African Super League. A $300 million football revolution, stadium upgrades, broadcasting power, 24 elite clubs, and prize money bigger than the CAF Champions League. But here's the twist: the bigger the dream got, the smaller the project actually became. It rebranded, it shrank, it piloted, then it paused. And today, nobody knows what really happened. So let's take a look back at some of the previous interviews and what was supposed to transpire, and talk about where it should be in the future, inshallah.
Nigeria. So good luck to Nigeria as well. Africa Super League. Now, this was launched some time back by none other than the CAF president, in the presence of FIFA president Gianni Infantino. Now, this is called the Africa Super League. It's talking about a prize money of 11.5 million US dollars. Now you can calculate that in your own currency that you prefer to find out what will happen. They're talking about having 3 regions, talking about 8 clubs per region, talking about giving money to the clubs to be able to prepare for these events, you know, and then giving them some very good prize money. James, don't give me that look. Listen to what they're offering. 197 matches. They'll play for 10 months, a maximum 21 matches played by especially the finalists. This sounds like a very grand scheme.
Yeah, you know, Bernard, I looked at this and wow. First of all, just to break it down for you and to bring it closer home, the winner getting 11.5 million is just over 1.3 billion Kenya shillings. Then the sweeter bit is that now once you qualify, each team that qualifies will need something to prepare, will need something to
even before you qualify,
travel,
you're getting money to prepare. There's money that will be given for annually to the federation to prepare for this tournament.
Now for the team, each team that qualifies gets 307 million Kenya shillings. That's a lot of money. Now the
it's
ceremony,
even more if you're Ugandan or Tanzania. It's in the billions.
The thing is, nobody quite said where this money is coming from.
No.
But
Ken,
that's the money.
Ken, you can't bring the food to the table and then tell us nobody quite said where the salt will be and everything. Just lay it on the table.
That's
okay?
what it is, Bernard. That's what it is.
Okay.
It's a new thing.
What Ken is doing,
supposed to start next year.
What Ken is doing, he's preempting because he knows where I'm going. That's why he said all the nice things, but then he knows where I'm going to go. So he's like, let me just preempt this. Look, on paper, it sounds like a brilliant idea.
It is a brilliant
but
idea.
I have questions. Question number 1, isn't this the ESL just remodeled as ASL? Isn't this the European Super League? Isn't it the same model?
What happened to the European Super League?
Didn't everyone in the European Super League bring it crashing down? Didn't you see protests at all these big clubs?
That will never happen in Africa.
What is this that was so bad with the ESL that is suddenly so good with the ASL? This is before we look at what are the contexts. Look at Europe in terms of context, sponsorship, TV money. Then look at Africa. So that's one. Number 2. So what happens to the other countries who cannot get teams? So you how many teams did you say? 24?
24.
Yes.
24. So what happens to the other?
And
it can be as many as 3 per country.
Yes.
Yeah. So of course you'll have Zamalek, Ali, and another one.
Yes.
So what happens to these other countries? Because there's 24 teams, there's 54 African countries.
I think we can look at this in terms of pros and cons.
What happens to those ones?
Yeah, and there was that big question about probably the bigger clubs being the ones that will benefit. They already are big.
Exactly.
And they're already prepared. So
I
you give them more money.
I am firmly on the cons, Bernard.
Yes.
And the biggest one for me, oh, beautiful, $100 million. Where are we getting $100 million from as CAF?
No, well, that we're going to ask the chairman.
When you have the FIFA president there, then you need to read something. You need to read that Motsepe,
is he going to put money in
the African president, is in good books.
No.
So all that needs to happen.
James,
once the idea is bought,
yes,
which I think has been bought. You know, in Africa we love money. We are going to get sponsors.
Who's going to put money?
Come on,
All right, guys. So that's a great interview. I'll put the link down at the bottom because I think a lot of you guys should go check it out. So to understand the scale of this story, you know, we had to go back and see some of these announcements, because this wasn't a modest announcement. It was the biggest football project ever proposed on African soil. So the original blueprint again was 300 million annual budget, $100 million prize money. These are in USD. 50 million to every federation for development. 24 clubs across the continent, promotion and relegation. Mandatory stadium upgrades, centralized continental broadcasting rights, backed publicly and loudly by FIFA president at the time, Gianni Infantino. The CAF called it transformational, a new economic era, a league that keeps African stars on African soil, right? Um, yeah, so what people think happened is most fans believe that the Super League launched, right? And it evolved into something new, that the dream is fully alive. And headlines made it sound like a smooth transition. But what actually happened is, the name African Super League was abolished and it was replaced with the African Football League. So the AFL launched with 8 teams and not 24. The $300 million financial framework disappeared from the CAF communications, and the 2024 season didn't occur. So CAF claims the AFL will be bigger in 2025 with no published budgets, formats, or dates. But here's the truth behind the headlines. CAF had the dream, right? FIFA had the mechanism, but Europe had the money, right? And nobody funds a league that keeps African talent at home, right? CAF didn't have the capital to do it. FIFA didn't have any incentive to do it. And European broadcasters who control the global football economy had zero interest in bankrolling their greatest competitor, right? So without African players, Europe's leagues become slow, predictable, nostalgic, right? Basically cricket with shin guards, we'll say. So this is deeper than football, right? It isn't scandal by any means. It's structural power. So Africa is the engine of global football, and everybody knows it, except the people pretending that they don't owe us, the oil change, right? So the economic power, in regards to this is Europe extracts African players. It sells African stories, and they broadcast African brilliance while monetizing African bodies. So Africa, we get the passion, Europe gets the profit. So a real Super League will reverse this flow. Continental Broadcasting Network, sponsorship rooted through Africa, competitive player salaries, and African clubs, are valued globally, or would have been, right? So this shifts billions of dollars. And then secondly, there would be an infrastructure development. So the original plan included stadium upgrades, training centers, medical facilities, and not just for elite clubs, but for the entire federation. So that's jobs, that's tourism, that's urban development. And it puts Africa in football global positioning, right? As we know, it drives world football. So Europe's football empires are built on 2 pipelines: African players and Afro-Brazilian players, right? So to be factual and powerful at the same time, Brazil has the largest African diaspora population on earth, more than any other African country except Nigeria. So Pele, Neymar, Ronaldinho, Vinicius Jr., Cafu, Rivaldo, African bloodlines, African movement, African magic. We all know this, right? So here's the geopolitical truth. Global football is powered by the African continent and the diaspora. Without African and Afro-Brazilian players, EuroLeague loses value. UEFA competitions lose global appeal, and Premier League loses its explosiveness, right? So then there will be a transfer market collapse, global leadership declines on their part, and it's not an opinion here. This is economics, right? So let's be honest, removing African talent from European football wouldn't sit well with them, right? Because suddenly every match looks like, maybe we'll say, like a chess tutorial, right? So the thing here is Africa has the youngest population in the world. A real Super League would have meant more academies, more scholarships, more professional pathways, more local opportunities, more families rising from grassroots footballs that we've seen these beautiful stories. And it's not just nation building, it's future building. So the question now isn't why did the Super League shrink? The question is, can Africa bring it back fully, boldly, and independently? So I think that a roadmap would look something like this. Like the CAF must publish a transparent financial model. No more silence, no more vague promises, a clear budget, a clear plan, and a clear structure. African federations must negotiate as a bloc. So a united Africa gets real leverage in this case. And then a fragmented Africa gets sidelined, as we know. So we must build our own broadcasting power, because whoever controls the cameras controls the kingdom. Continental streaming platforms, African media agencies, African sports networks, that's the real key. So the $300 million dream must return, but under African terms, right? Not Europe's terms, not FIFA's terms, not donors' terms, but African terms. And we don't need approval to build big. We just need the courage to finish what we started. So, Mashallah, that's our African Insight for today. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because I'm Mr. Empower TV. We don't chase the headlines, we chase the truth behind them. This is Mr. Empower, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.